Democrats turn up the heat in Arizona.
So my final question, Phoenix, are you with me?
Investing star power.
Hi, Arizona. Hi, ASU.
And millions in a Republican stronghold.
On November 8th, our job is to defeat Trump and elect Hillary Clinton as our next president.
Betting Donald Trump is vulnerable.
Thank you, everybody.
It is a very exciting time for Democrats.
The Arizona Republican Party is responding by putting more engagement troops on the floor.
Hillary Clinton is aiming to turn a red state blue. This is Arizona Week. Hello, and thanks for joining us. A Democrat for president winning the state of Arizona, extremely rare in the history of presidential politics. It's happened only once since 1948. Bill Clinton claimed our state 20 years ago, and now another Clinton is trying to do it again, sending in high-profile surrogates, Michelle Obama, Chelsea Clinton, and Bernie Sanders. That's in addition to $2 million more for campaign advertising for Arizona Democrats. All this in the same week as the final presidential debate. In the last face-off between Clinton and Trump, plenty of tough talk on issues Arizonans care about, including the economy, taxes, and gun rights.
We need a Supreme Court that, in my opinion, is going to uphold the Second Amendment and all amendments, but the Second Amendment, which is under absolute siege.
I understand and respect the tradition of gun ownership. It goes back to the founding of our country. But I also believe that there can be and must be reasonable regulation.
We have to have strong borders. We have to keep the drugs out of our country. But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
So I think we are both a nation of immigrants and we are a nation of laws, and that we can act accordingly. And that's why I'm introducing comprehensive immigration reform within the first 100 days with a path to citizenship.
There was Trump on offense.
The one thing you have over me is experience, but it's bad experience.
And Mr. Trump was on defense, still reeling from a video exposing his lewd comments about women and the allegations of women who accuse him of sexual misconduct.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody.
Claiming the system is rigged, Mr. Trump would not commit to accepting the outcome of the election.
I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
For now, the suspense is the latest Arizona numbers. While the most recent polls show the contest between Clinton and Trump is tight, an analysis of those polls gives Clinton a greater chance of winning the White House. The political website 538 shows Arizona as light blue, not red, on its election map for the presidential race. As of Friday morning, 538 gives Hillary Clinton a 55% chance and Donald Trump a 44% chance of winning Arizona's 11 electoral votes. It was enough to bring First Lady Michelle Obama to Phoenix on Thursday, where she laid out her case why Arizona moderates, even conservatives, should consider Clinton.
And this year, we know it's much closer here in this state. That's why I'm here. We are at a crossroads in this election and in this country, where we're being presented with two very, very different visions for how we move forward as a nation.
Before a crowd of 7,000 Arizonans, the First Lady ripped into Donald Trump without ever using his name.
You see, in this race, we have a candidate whose vision for our country is completely and utterly lacking in hope. A candidate who tells us that our country is desperate and weak, that our communities are in chaos, that our fellow citizens are a threat. A candidate who calls on us to turn against each other, to build walls, to be afraid.
Avoiding topics that have plagued Hillary Clinton's campaign, her emails, Benghazi, the Clinton Foundation. Michelle Obama made an impassioned speech, drawing a stark contrast between Clinton and Trump.
Hillary's opponent comes from a different place. I don't know, perhaps living life high up in a tower in a world of exclusive clubs, measuring success by wins and losses, the number of zeros in your bank account. Perhaps you just develop a different set of values. And if you think this way, then it's easy to see this country as us versus them. And it's easy to dehumanize them, to treat them with contempt, because you don't know them. You can't even see them. Maybe that's why this candidate thinks certain immigrants are criminals, instead of folks who work their fingers to the bone to give their kids a better life, to help build the greatest nation on earth, because he doesn't really know them. Maybe that's why he thinks we should be afraid of our Muslim brothers and sisters, because he really has no idea who they are. Maybe that's why he demeans and humiliates women as if we're objects meant solely for pleasure and entertainment rather than human beings worthy of love and respect. But fortunately, there is another candidate in this race who is offering a very different vision for this country. And that candidate is our friend, Hillary Clinton. Hillary knows that our country is powerful and vibrant and strong, big enough to have a place for all of us, and that each of us is a precious part of the great American story. Hillary believes in equality, inclusion, liberty, and justice for all, that each of us should have that chance to fulfill our potential and build our shared future. That is Hillary's vision for America. And Hillary doesn't just have a powerful vision for this country, she has the policies to actually make that vision a reality. Hillary has comprehensive policies to help people. Her opponent has tweets. You decide.
Citing Clinton's plans for free college tuition, paid family leave, raising the minimum wage, cutting taxes for the middle class, Mrs. Obama praised Clinton as a policy wonk.
And let me tell you, Hillary Clinton absolutely knows what she's doing. Hillary has been a lawyer, a law professor, First Lady of Arkansas, First Lady of the United States, a U.S. Senator, Secretary of State. Do you hear me? We are fortunate to live in a country where the voters decide our elections. The voters decide who wins and loses, period, end of story. And when a presidential candidate threatens to ignore our voices and reject the outcome of this election, he is threatening the very idea of America itself. And we cannot stand for that. You do not keep American democracy in suspense. So here's what we need to do. We need to work our hearts out, and we need to make sure that Hillary Clinton is the next president of the United States. So my final question, Phoenix, are you with me? Are we gonna get this done?
We reached out to Trump campaign officials in Arizona for an interview on the push by Democrats in our state, but they could not accommodate the request. In a prepared statement, Mr. Trump's campaign said, Michelle Obama's visit reminds Arizonans that Hillary Clinton hasn't been here in over 7 months. It's no wonder Hillary is phoning it in with Arizona voters, given her support of open borders, increasing Syrian refugees by 550%, and her pay-to-play corruption scheme at the State Department, where she traded official access for million-dollar gifts to the Clinton Foundation and six-figure speaking fees for her husband. In another statement, the Trump campaign wrote, no matter how many times Bernie Sanders goes to bat for Hillary with millennials, he's striking out every time. We will hear from Republican and Democratic Party leaders in southern Arizona in just a few minutes, but first, Seth Scott is the Hillary Clinton state campaign director. So Arizona is a battleground state officially now?
Officially a battleground state, and we couldn't be more excited for Arizona and the voters of Arizona to be such a critical part of this election.
We have 3 high-profile surrogates in Arizona within 72 hours. What does that say about Hillary Clinton wanting to win Arizona?
Well, it says we're serious about winning Arizona, and it says we think we can win in Arizona.
Why the sudden push 3 weeks out from Election Day?
Well, because we are in a place where Arizona is far more competitive than it should be. It's far more competitive than it ever has been. As you know, the only time a Democrat has won Arizona has been once since 1948, back in 1996, with another Clinton. And so we're very excited that Hillary Clinton has such an amazing opportunity to do well in Arizona.
Given the comments made by Donald Trump and the claims that the system may be rigged, I mean, is this the perfect storm for a Democrat to take over?
Well, it has been a perfect storm for quite some time. This race didn't become competitive in Arizona just a few weeks ago. It has been for months.
Bernie Sanders is very popular in Arizona. This has got to be a strategic move to bring him to Pima County, of all places.
Well, he is a very popular figure in American politics, and he is working as hard as he can to make sure that Hillary Clinton and not Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. And so that's why he offered to come to Arizona, and he's gone to Flagstaff, he's gone to Tucson, and he's really rallying folks and saying this election is the most important election of our lifetimes.
There are Republicans who will not vote for Donald Trump in this election. What do you say to those folks who are here in Arizona trying to decide?
Well, we've been talking to those Republicans. We've been hearing from Republicans since April that they can't vote for their party's nominee for president. And that's why we've made it a strategy to go talk to Republicans time and time again. And as this election has gone on, we continue to see Republicans, whether it's Senator McCain or others, who say, I cannot support Donald Trump for president. This election's too important, and they're going to be supporting someone different.
Arizona is a border state. We have people who want a bigger, better wall.
Right.
And then we've got a lot of dreamers. Where's that balance?
We do. And you know what? There is bipartisan consensus in Arizona on what we need, and that's comprehensive immigration reform. Jeff Flake and John McCain, our 2 Republican senators, have said, they were members of the Gang of 8. They support comprehensive immigration reform. Secretary Clinton supports comprehensive immigration reform, and that stands in stark contrast to what we've seen from Donald Trump, which is mass deportation squads, build a wall, hateful, divisive rhetoric, and Arizonans don't like that. We've rejected that kind of rhetoric before in past elections, and I think we're going to do it again this time.
Hillary Clinton's the email continues to come up, but her trustworthiness as well. And Donald Trump is not the perfect candidate. So for the viewer who's sitting at home and thinking, I'm not voting for either one of them because they both have problems, where does this, I mean, the trustworthiness is a big issue for the voter.
Right. Well, look, Secretary Clinton and Donald Trump have been on the same debate stage. They've talked about the issues, and ever since that's happened, she has shown why she can be trusted to be our commander-in-chief. She is qualified, she's fit for office, and that's unlike Donald Trump, who can be baited by a tweet. And we cannot have someone like that to be in charge of our nuclear weapons and our military. And so I think that the American people trust her. I think that the Arizona Republic, which for the first time in its history, in 126 years, a very conservative newspaper said, you know what? Hillary Clinton is the only choice to move America forward. And we're seeing that time and time again from editorial boards across the country. It's why historic numbers of Republicans are crossing the aisle and saying, I trust Hillary Clinton to be our commander-in-chief, and we have to elect her as our next president.
On Wednesday, Chelsea Clinton spoke to a crowd of about 800 people at Arizona State University. The candidate's daughter talking about education and her mom's plan to make college more affordable for everyone.
My mom thinks that anyone should be able to pay back their undergraduate or graduate loans as a percentage of their income, and that service should actually count as loan repayment. So for people who are willing to be doctors and nurses, police officers, firefighters, particularly people who are willing to work in high-need areas, to work in our rural communities, to work on our Native American reservations, that service should count even more to pay back student loans. My most important identity is being my daughter and my son's mom. And this election is so important and so intensely personal to me because it is about my children, and it is about their future, and it is about the future that I want them to grow up in. And I think this is the most consequential election of my lifetime, in part because I am now a parent, and in part because I think everything I care most about is at risk.
Senator Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are now stronger together, as the Democrats like to say, with Sanders speaking to thousands this week in Flagstaff and Tucson. Sanders won 40% of the Arizona primary vote back in March. Now his challenge, convincing his most loyal followers, especially young voters, to get excited about Hillary.
It's absolutely imperative that Hillary Clinton be elected president. And to all of those folks out there, and Arizona is a battleground state, and you can make the difference in terms of who the next president of the United States will be.
Senator Sanders directing much of his speech to three key groups of supporters: Latinos, millennials, and women.
Number one, in the United States of America, we cannot elect a man to be president who objectifies women, who brags about assaulting women. We have got to end the disgrace of women in America making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. We need to guarantee 3 months paid family and medical leave for every worker in America.
The Vermont senator urged Arizona Latinos to turn out for Hillary Clinton in record numbers.
We cannot elect a candidate to be president who refers to our Mexican brothers and sisters as rapists and criminals. Donald Trump has the brilliant idea we should sweep up and deport 11 million undocumented people. Well, Hillary Clinton and I have a very different idea. Our view is that we need to move toward comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship.
Here on the Mall of the University of Arizona, Sanders tried to convince millennials they should transfer their enthusiasm to Hillary Clinton.
How many people here have or will have student debt? Raise your hand, please. What Secretary Clinton believes and what I believe is that we have got to make public colleges and universities tuition free.
And what was the takeaway for a lot of these first-time voters?
I got a lot of pure policy. I think that's very important. And I really got to connect with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton on an indirect level because they really speak to the millennials, and I agree with a lot of things that they have to say.
It's not necessarily an enthusiastic Hillary, more of an enthusiastic no Trump.
A red state turning into a blue state in this election would be amazing, especially for a lot of the younger generation that lives here. I think there is a lot of minorities that live in Arizona that do side democratically and don't really always have the voice. And being able to have that voice now that I actually can vote and have a voice, I think it means so much.
Arizona, now widely considered a battleground state, Republicans using a grassroots effort to make sure it remains red, while Democrats say they are pushing for a blue state. Joining us now, Sergio Arellano of the Arizona Republican Party and Joe Holt of the Pima County Democratic Party.
It is. It is a very exciting time for Democrats, and we have a tremendous ground game. We have 5 campaign offices here in Pima County alone, so there's a real surge of interest, I think, amongst Democrats. Yeah.
So the latest polls, Sergio, show that Hillary Clinton has a 56% chance of winning Arizona, and this is this week, of course, after the last debate. How does the Trump campaign respond to that?
You know, polls always said that Donald Trump wasn't going to be the nominee. I don't think we can really rely on polls. This is an unconventional candidate that's running for the presidency of the United States. When you look at polls, polls have been wrong thus far. We just hope to continue seeing the groundswell like we have and the progress that we've made. We've even opened a victory office down in Nogales, Arizona, which is 93% Democrat and 90% Hispanic. So we're seeing a lot of engagement, a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, which prompts us opening more and more offices to have more and more representation on the grassroots. So when it comes to polling, we really can't rely on that because it's an unconventional candidate running an unconventional campaign.
Joe, a 56% chance of a Democrat winning Arizona in this presidential election. Do the Democrats taste a victory?
We feel the momentum. I think that on the Democratic side, you see a lot of pent-up frustration that is, as soon as the gates start opening a little bit, then it bursts open wide, and I think that is what is happening right now. We are inundated with volunteers. We already have a wonderful field operation in the state with just under 200 paid field organizers and regional field directors. Like I say, yeah, you can really sense. You can sense a certain amount of momentum, I think. Definitely.
Sergio, do the Republicans still feel that momentum in Arizona?
Here locally, we have so much momentum. We always unite. People say that the party is fractured, that we're fighting, all the infighting is happening and we're not going to have success. But traditionally statewide, the Arizona Republican Party, with our chairman, Robert Graham, has been able to unite pretty strongly behind our candidates. When it comes down to local races, I'm thinking and I'm projecting we're going to see some victories from traditional Democrat seats as well.
A lot of what the analysts are saying is that neither candidate is perfect. So, Joe, we'll start with you. There is some frustration with Hillary Clinton, some trust issues. How is the local Democratic race about to be affected? How will the races in Arizona change?
It does put us in a position to have to defend Hillary sometimes when it really shouldn't even be necessary. You know, there's been a long-term campaign conducted by largely the right-wing media against Hillary Clinton on a very personal level. I am amazed by the strength and the character of this woman who has worked her entire life for families and children and the working class, the middle class, which she talks so much about. In the face of investigation after investigation, I'm truly in awe of Hillary Clinton, and that's what we tell people, because that's actually how we feel.
Sergio, how is Donald Trump affecting Arizona Republicans? We have had some very staunch conservative analysts on the program who say they will not cast a vote for him.
So it's been really difficult on some ends with conservatives that have moved away from Trump, but on the plus side, we're seeing people that we've never seen before show up, come out, do phone banking, canvass, because they know that if we want to change the direction of our country and we're tired of the lack of jobs like we are here in Pima County, we need to elect a new president.
Arizona has gone from a red state to a purple state and now a blue state according to the maps that we're seeing. What happens over the next 3 weeks? We'll start with you, Sergio.
Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to keep the grassroots engagement going. The groundswell that we're seeing on the grassroots is amazing and phenomenal. We're going to take that, we're going to launch it into the atmosphere, and we're going to pull off a victory here in Arizona. It might not be by a big margin like we did with Romney, but we're still confident enough that everybody is going to rally behind the candidate that promises to bring jobs and make this economy better again. We're tired of losing health care down here. We're tired of not having jobs. We need a candidate that knows what it's like to create jobs and employ people, especially in these hard times.
Joe, that question, same for you, but will we see Hillary Clinton in Arizona over the next few weeks?
I wish I could tell you. I would love to be able to see Hillary Clinton here. Of course, we have Michelle Obama this week, as well as Bernie and Chelsea Clinton. So we are seeing some action. You know, it's an interesting time for the county Democratic Party, because we are actually not accustomed to such attention for presidential elections. So we are adjusting.
On the stage with Bernie Sanders in Tucson, Congressman Raul Grijalva, the representative, the first candidate to endorse Senator Sanders in the primary. Congressman Grijalva said Senator Sanders easily sways voters to support Hillary Clinton.
Hillary on her own is a capable, smart, well-prepared, intelligent woman that in her election would be historic. And so in terms of capacity and capability, I have no qualms about Hillary being president of the United States of America. The issue with WikiLeaks, the issue with the emails, they continue to burden her campaign, and I'm sure they'll continue for a while.
You were on the stage with Bernie Sanders. He's very strong with youth voters. Where is he with Latino voters? Is that your opportunity to bring those folks on board?
Through the primaries, he did exceedingly well among young Latinos, and the young period. He 50% in Nevada, 40% in California, 42% here in the state among Latino voters. So he has a constituency, and like all of the people that supported Bernie, and particularly some of the most committed, after the primaries and after we lost. I supported Bernie and we lost. And I thought his concession speech at the convention was classy and needed to be done, because that's how we operate in a democracy. You move on, you make the transition. And I think it's helping people that haven't maybe made that transition to do that. And like I said, it's a constituency that doesn't vote in the numbers it should, millennials, young people, and Latinos. And those are where we have to raise the turnout rate among them significantly in the state if we have an opportunity to turn the state.
Congressman, we have 3 heavy hitters from the Democratic Party in Arizona within 72 hours. What does that say about this campaign?
Those states that have been conceded in the past as they're too Republican to even spend time or resources on, that were in play. And that's what it says. And I think, Bernie's appearance here was very strong and very powerful, about 5,000 people. And with that comes, the need to really invigorate some parts of the Democratic coalition and constituency that in the past have not been prone to vote the way they should in terms of turnout. This race is about turnout. The bigger the turnout, the bigger Hillary is going to win. And I think they know that. And Arizona becomes pivotal because there's some symbolism involved, because it is Arizona. There's some symbolism involved around the rhetoric on immigration that Trump has made center to his campaign. And I think the effort of having the First Lady here, Bernie, Chelsea, all are indications that, and $2 million extra in terms of resources for the state. Not only is it in play, but there's a sense that we can win and in a presidential race turn this state blue.
A whirlwind of a week for Arizona politics as Election Day inches closer. Voters wait to see if Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump make one final push to visit one of America's newest battleground states. For all of us at Arizona Public Media, I'm Lorraine Rivera. Thanks for joining us.